Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session of Job or Professional Development Day, Hiring for Business Growth. Today we'll be speaking with Nick Huber. You might recognize him from the Sweaty Startup and the Nick Huber Show podcast, where he talks about how to grow your company and become personally successful. So welcome, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Katie, I'm excited to be a part of this event. It's awesome.
Yeah, super pumped. Today's an awesome day already, so we'll just get started. So my first question for you, before you had all of your employees and you're a one-man show, when did you know it was the right time to hire your first employee?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think as soon as you spend, more than half your time on the job itself, I like to think about making that hire. And sometimes it's hiring ahead of revenue, which can be stressful, meaning you might not have the revenue. And depending on your operational chops, your experience, how quickly you may have, achieved your traction and your past experience, it could make sense to hire earlier. I mean, the more experienced people hire and scale a business quickly. You may work as a sole proprietor for months or years before you make that first hire. So it's a tricky question, but I think my point of view is always hire first and then spend your time selling and growing. And when you can't spend your time selling new customers, it's time to make that hire. So
For sure. And for you, so it was more so a workload point of view. It's when you started having more work than you could do yourself.
I think that's a position that many service businesses are in right now, right? More work than
Mm-hmm.
they can handle. The economy's booming, and the hard part is hiring right now, right? We're in a labor crisis, a labor crunch. Everybody's running around saying, I can't find enough good employees. I have too much work. In my opinion, I mean, every business has one of two problems. It's either a people problem or it's a customer problem. You don't have enough business, you need more customers, or you don't have enough people and you need more systems and people to build out the company that can actually service all those customers. I think a lot of people listening to this might just be in the situation of, okay, we have work running out our ears, but we don't have enough people. That's when it's pretty clear it's time to go and hire. So, I mean, put an example. My brother runs a lawn care company. He was a sole proprietor for a year. Every year by about May, June, he would have to stop answering the phone to sell new customers because he could not service more customers. That's when it was time to hire, right then.
Mm-hmm. And where do you find like the best places to find employees in your experience?
So there's two ways. I mean, as you build a bigger company and you have 15, 20, 30 techs, I mean, that's when it's about building a machine that can have rolling hires, right? You're posting on Indeed, Craigslist, Monster, all these locations to advertise, and you're having basically rolling open interviews. Every Monday, my friend who runs a moving company with 35 employees, every Monday he has open interviews from 9 a.m. to noon. People come in very quick, hire quick, drug test, get them in the door, and then get them going. If you're a small one-man shop, you have what I see is kind of an advantage because you get to do some of those things that don't scale. And doing some things that don't scale means, for me, having a business card in my back pocket. And when I'm at Starbucks, when I'm at a restaurant, when I'm in a Walmart parking lot watching people pick up the carts and move them back, you see those employees sometimes that just have that pep in their step, right? They're excited to be there. They move quickly. That is the number one, explainer of future competence, in my opinion, is how quick they move and how excited they may look. So if you see somebody hustling around the Walmart parking lot picking up carts, you walk up to them with a card in your pocket and say, "Hey, my name's Nick. I work for Storage Squad or Bolt Storage or whatever your company's name is, and we're hiring. Do you know anybody who would want to have a job?" And I usually say, "Hey, we pay $18 an hour. We're flexible, whatever it might be." And you're not directly asking them if they want a job. You're handing them a card and saying, "Do you know anybody who wants a job?" And the first person that they think about is themselves, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
love little tactics like that. I love enterprise car sales for higher skilled employees. They have a great recruiting and training program for super competent kids out of college. Starbucks is awesome. Dunkin' Donuts is awesome. Restaurants, people in restaurants are phenomenal as well. So I'm just looking for excitement, competence, and people who act like they want to be there. And I'm going to approach them with a business card in my pocket. So those things don't scale, but you can easily staff 5 to 6 positions that way, which is great in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like people don't think of the business card idea. I feel like I really like the idea of having something physical that you can give them to, because they're like, oh, what, this person coming up to me, what are they talking to me about? And having that physical business card, I feel like solidifies it even more, and then they have that information to call you later. I think people kind of forget that those things are still important. Having those like
And I don't like to
physical,
pick on the small local businesses, right? Because they're struggling as well. But I don't mind
yeah.
picking on the Starbucks and the Walmarts because they have the hiring machine and hundreds of thousands of employees, right?
And also to touch on another point that you mentioned was to hire quick and also to have those open interviews. So kind of always have hiring in mind. Don't wait until you're in a position that you're struggling to hire someone and you're losing work. So I really like the idea of putting in a system where you're always kind of looking for new hires and hiring people quickly. So I think that
I
was a
think
really great tip as
once you're
well.
growing, once you have the foundation of a good business built, you know that what you need to charge, you know what you need to do, you have some key employees that can help you deliver that product, and you can kind of step back as a business owner, and you're no longer the technician working in your business. For me, with 30 employees now growing really quickly, all I do is chase down talent. It's all I do. And almost all the talent already has another job, right? So it was
Mm-hmm.
all about like that mindset shift of my partner and I used to look at each other and say, "Oh my God, this is so hard. We can't find a good employees. It's such a tough labor market." And we were always blaming the labor market, blaming how hard it was, blaming all these other situations. When that mindset shift of, okay, it's on us. Like Walmart and Amazon, they employ 4% of America, and they can somehow staff and find all these people to do these jobs. Why am I complaining about needing to hire 3 or 4 more people? It's on me. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to take extreme ownership over this, and I'm going to go out and find people. Too many business
Mm-hmm.
owners, they think, okay, maybe, you know, I can't find good people. This is ridiculous. Nobody cares about my business like I do. When in reality, those unicorns, those people who care about your business like you do, they don't exist. Like you are the owner of your business. Everybody else, they want to feed their families and they want to live their lives outside of work, and they want a job that's rewarding and pays them well. So you got to go find those people. You got to hunt them down, and you got to sell them on your company and your vision. And that can be a handshake of a stranger in a Walmart parking lot and a business card, or it can be somebody that you know in your network that you know is competent that you can go, chase down to join your team.
I think that's a great reminder on extreme ownership and, taking ownership of it and really going out and finding those people. Because I agree. I think, I see in our jobber community, in our jobber Facebook group, people, they're always asking, where can I, post these listings? Where can I find people? And I think it's a great reminder to a lot of business owners to take that ownership and really go and approach people and,
Get
take the bull
resourceful.
by the horns.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And I think a huge mistake that people make early on is, they're entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. Most of the people at Professional Development Day are entrepreneurs who are running their business. And we as entrepreneurs have a mindset to solve problems and thrive in chaotic situations, right? We are okay unstructured. We're okay not being sure. We're okay making decisions on the fly. Employees hate that. Like entrepreneurs like chaos, employees like structure. They want to know how to show up, how to do a good job, what you want them to do so that they can make customers happy, they can get paid at the end of the day, and they can go home feeling like they did a good job. So many entrepreneurs set up a chaotic environment of, hey, here's this is the goal, go out and figure it out. And really setting your employees up for success with structure and methods and systems and simplifying their job is another huge part of it. When we were growing in the early days and we were hiring quickly, we were hiring people for roles and jobs that were virtually impossible to do unless you were really competent. You had a ton of training. They had maybe 20 core competencies that they needed to do: make schedules, call customers, do customer service, answer questions, actually do the job, drive the trucks, all these things. When okay, they didn't need to be doing customer service, they didn't need to be scheduling their own customers. We could take a lot of things off of their plate so that they could focus on doing what they do best really well. And they were happier at work, and we had less mistakes, and we were able
Hmm.
to hire and scale faster.
Yeah, that's amazing advice for sure. And another thing that you sort of touched on at the beginning here was, what advice would you give business owners in terms of budgeting for a new hire? Because that's kind
I
of
would
a large part of it as well.
I'd say raise your prices, number one. I think so many entrepreneurs, this is not my topic, but I feel really passionately about this, is raise your prices so that you can afford to build a sustainable business. If you can't afford, maybe you're mowing lawns or doing plumbing at 40 bucks an hour per person, um, people will pay much more than that, especially if you can deliver quickly. I think customers are interested in two things, right? Price and speed. How fast can you do the job and how much are you willing to pay? Be that uh, company, that team that focuses on speed and gets things done quickly, and you can afford to charge a higher price. Now, if you raise your prices 10%, you can afford to pay your employees twice as much because labor is only maybe 30 or 40% of your expenses, right? So, um, being able to pay your employees $2, $3, $4 more per hour than the competition sets you up in an amazing position to be able to hire in some of the early days.
And kind of gives you that uh, the means to hire, because I know that's always hard when you're a one person show, and maybe raising your prices gives you that space that you need to hire that
If the
person too.
competition's paying $15 an hour, I'm paying 17.50 because we are more professional. We're going to show up in polos. We're going to be more clean cut. We're going to be better service providers, and customers are going to be really happy to pay a 20% premium for those things. But another big part of it, the original question is, where do you go to find people and how do you spend the money on recruiting? Maybe I think the marketing versus recruiting budgets of companies 5 years ago was much different. It was easier to find employees. People wanted jobs. The economy wasn't completely booming, whereas everybody there's just not enough not enough workers to do the actual amount of work that needs to be done in America right now. Um, so it's shifting. Like back in the day, you may spend 8% of revenue on marketing and 2% on recruiting. 10% of your overall revenue on those two things. I think you're seeing it in the billboards on the side of the road now that is shifting, right? You're at 2 to 3% on marketing and another 8% on recruiting. You're spending money out there to find employees. Like most people don't even think that is something that they should do, but it absolutely is. And when you drive down, you're looking at the HVAC companies that can scale and the landscaping companies that can scale. And they have billboards on the side of the road, not for customers, but for employees.
And I also want to dive a little bit into the nitty gritty part of the hiring process. What tells you that a potential employee will most likely be a good hire? What are some of those green flags? I guess
Yeah,
not red
I think
flags. I guess.
honestly, a warm body is somebody who's going to be hired by me. My job is to get the job simple enough. The job is so simple that anybody could do it if they are reliable, trustworthy, and care about their job, right? So I am looking for in that original interview an upbeat, nature. They seem excited. They seem personable. They can shake my hand. They seem excited about the job, and they're going to get the job if it's a labor job, right? And then what I'm going to do is after they start and they're working with me, then we're going through the time of okay, now we're testing the decision making. Now we're seeing how well this person does with showing up on time, with reliability, how good of decisions they make on the job, and that's when once they work for me, I can make decisions on their potential with our company. Go back to the interview process, though. If you're hiring for somebody who's a little bit more skilled, right? This is a $40,000 plus a year position that you're looking to hire for. I like to do a very simple approach called the motivational interview, which means, okay, I'm going to ask you questions about you. I'm going to ask you questions about your experience, but I'm also going to kind of ask you some leading questions or some, open-ended questions about how you see the future going. So an example would be, Katie, I know you're sitting here interviewing with me for this job. Let's fast forward a year. 1 year from now, we're back in this office. You work for me, you're at this company, and things are going amazing. Like you're really happy, you have a rewarding job, you're earning what you want to earn, and this job has just exceeded your expectations and you really, really enjoy it. Tell me what happened over the past year to get there. Tell me, as the business owner, what situation would be absolutely perfect if you look back on your first year of employment with me. And then you can zoom forward and say 5 years in. Okay, you're 5 years with Bolt Storage. That's the name of my company. What is your tasks look like on a day-to-day basis? What do you find really, really rewarding? I call that the motivational interview. It's leading questions that you can kind of get a sense for what those employees really want and desire deep down so that you as a boss can set them up for success. Okay, Katie really wants an upper management position. She really wants to have a team. She really values good relationships with people that she works with. I'm going to use that information and I'm going to try to set her up for success so that we have less turnover and we're starting off on the right foot. At least for me as a business owner, I know what this employee wants. Sometimes it's not a good fit for the position. Sometimes when you ask that question, you understand that, oh, this is not what I wanted to hear for this situation. Sometimes an employee will say, I just, I want to get paid. I want to have a respectful boss. I want to be treated with respect. And I'd like to be driving, I'd like to be your best person on the route, on the basic route, and so, maybe those goals aren't as high, but those are goals that we can deliver on and we can set up an environment for success.
And that's really great. It kind of tells you what their needs are as the business owner. If they are someone that you're going to hire, I feel like then you can create this whole plan for them. So I think that's a great interview question and goal interview kind of setup and goal to have. And maybe it is this question, but do you have a favorite interview question that you ask people? Or do you have kind of another one that you gain a ton of info from that's your favorite?
I like to ask people what makes them light up. What are you excited about outside of work? Let's put work aside. In your life, what makes you feel alive and what makes you excited? You'll really hear somebody. Sometimes they'll go off on a 10-minute tangent talking about something really interesting. You learn something about the person, and you learn kind of if they're actually excitable or not. Sometimes they'll just say, "Oh, I'm not really sure." Um, so you'll kind of learn a lot about how somebody thinks that way.
For sure. Do you have a response in mind, kind of like the best response you've ever received for that question, or are most of them kind of the same?
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you think on that?
I wouldn't set the expectations too high when you're interviewing entry level people with that question. Um, you know, it catches people off guard. You get a lot. Most of the time, you don't get much, but sometimes you really learn a lot about somebody and kind of what they like, and you can use that down the road.
For sure. And for you, what do you offer potential employees to make your business sound appealing?
Yeah, I'm selling myself, right? I mean, even if you're buying, if you're paying somebody else to work for you, you're selling in this environment. I feel like as a business owner, I'm selling all the time. So I focus on, clear communication. I focus on treating people with respect. I focus on, managing expectations. I think it's easy as a salesperson to, and the old way of sales is to come in and say, this job's going to be amazing. Everything's awesome here. We all love each other. The customers are all really nice. When in reality, any service-based business is going to deal with a lot of problems and a lot of stress. So I kind of like to manage expectations and let them know right off the bat that I am not going to just, sugarcoat this. Like, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to tell you how this really is. I'm going to tell you about some of the problems that we deal with. I'm going to tell you about some of the things that are not fun about the job. And what you end up finding is if you kind of reframe that sales environment from, okay, I'm going to overpromise, I'm going to overpromise, I'm going to sell to try to get you to come work. Instead, I'm going to set realistic expectations and talk about the downside. And then you kind of ask a question after that. So maybe I say, all right, Katie, one of the big problems with the customer service job with my company is that people call and they just got their price raised and they're really mad. They're really upset about it. We got to calm them down. Then I'm going to tell you another situation where, okay, we got customers that are just really kind of abusive to service businesses. Like some customers are really mean. They call in, they're just being completely irate for no reason. We got to deal with that stuff. And then you ask a question like, even though this job might be really hard, what makes you want to do customer service with us? And that's when you'll see the whole situation kind of reframe, and Katie will start selling herself on working for me. She'll be like, I'm really good at solving problems. I don't mind those things. And, a little bit of a challenge is great. And you'll kind of get a very unique shift in the conversation where if I'm managing expectations and I'm maybe talking about things that I don't like about this job, you might bring up some of the positives, right? Okay, if I'm working with a good team, then that's okay. If I can, go out afterwards and chat with a coworker and kind of, reminisce on the day, that might be kind of, build camaraderie or something along those lines.
And it gives them a clear picture and expectation of kind of what they're getting into with the position as well. It might tell them like, oh, maybe I'm not a good fit at the end of the day, but I really love how it does shift that. Then they're trying to prove to you that they can solve that problem. So I think that's really
Turnover is
amazing.
so costly. I mean, going through the interview process, bringing somebody on board, getting them set up with new emails, uniforms, like getting them drug tested, getting them into your company to where they can actually start adding value. It takes a month for somebody to really start adding value to where their work is something that the business actually profits off of, right? That first month is an investment. You're doing a lot of training. Maybe they're slow, maybe they're not up to speed. So anything that you can do to reduce turnover is just like an extra hire that you made, right? So I love treating people with respect. That's number one. Like business owners that constantly berate with hard questions with no real answers, super demeaning, maybe in a grumpy mood. Those things really, really make a difference for culture and work environment. So I'm always trying to be upbeat. I'm always respectful. I'm harsh. I ask the hard questions. I'm going to hold them accountable, and I'm going to make a quick decision. If they're incompetent and they can't make decisions, I'm going to terminate them quickly. But if somebody's trying and they're adding value, I'm going to be patient with mistakes, and I'm going to kind of take self ownership over the mistakes as well. When my employees are making mistakes on the job, I look at it as a mistake I made because my systems weren't correct for that person. We didn't set them up for success.
And you mentioned this as well that you hire quickly. Have you ran into any issues with that in terms of making a decision too quick, maybe, and then you're like, oh, this person maybe wasn't a good fit, or have you kind of streamlined that process that you can
Yeah,
really pick them out now?
they work very closely with my team for the first week. So I'm
Right.
not going to let them interact with a customer one day in when I just hired somebody off the street, right? I'm going to get a feel for how they interact. I'm going to have them shadow employees. If they're a customer service position, they share the phone and they're in the background of a phone listening to our team. They have training videos that are really important that they can watch training videos. We use Loom all the time online. And if it's in person, we actually build in-person training videos of how to cut locks, how to do these things at our storage facilities. So the tools are really strong to get them ready to go, and then we watch them really closely, right? So and it's also not about it's about not overloading them when they start. If you overload them with jobs and tasks, you're just begging for mistakes to be made right off the bat. So I like to watch those things. And then, I mean, back to what we said originally of how to find employees. Once you have a team, we have 30 employees at our company now, and almost every one of our hires is through a referral program. We don't need to chase people down off the street anymore. Our employees are advocates for our business, going out and trying to find people to work for us. And we do that by rewarding them monetarily with referral bonuses. So, in a customer service rep job, it's $1,000 if you hire another customer service rep that stays with us for 90 days. So if they come on and they work with us for 90 days, you get $1,000 bonus. That's pretty significant, and that's enough for them to go out and really work hard. In our student storage business, where people were part-time employees, only worked with us for a week or so, we just gave a straight $50 cash bonus if another one of your friends worked a total of 20 hours with us, was all. So it depends on how desperate you are for employees, but you can just invest money, spend money to find employees.
Do you find that referral program is where most of your new hires come from now?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we try to create a good work environment. Our management team is respectful. We set up a good, a place to work, a fun place to work with people who, appreciate each other, and they're not going to be rude and backstab in office politics and, be grumpy and things like that. It's just not, gossip is another thing that I feel really strongly that gossip can ruin the culture of a company very quickly. So we have a zero tolerance for gossip. Um, so yeah, we try to make it a fun place to work, and then it does help that we pay a little bit more than our competitors as well.
It's interesting how it all connects. When you have a good culture, then they're more willing to refer for new hires. So I think that's really a great point to keep in mind.
But
So,
I think before we finish up, if we kind of take a step back, and maybe the people who are watching this, the majority of them don't even have an employee yet. And talking about culture and talking about all these ways to manage might seem way down the road, and it's things they read in business books that are not really applicable to them in their life. I think if there's a step-by-step process that a person who's starting a business that can start to grow could go through, it's okay, let's look at the financials of my company. How much money am I making per hour on my time when I'm out doing my service, whether it's any kind of home service business? All right, how much do I need to raise my prices to be able to pay somebody, let's say $20 an hour plus workers' comp and payroll and all these other taxes that maybe make it $27, $28 an hour? Then there's lost time. How much do I really need to bill to make this make sense? It needs to be probably $75 per man hour that I need to bill my clients to be making money. Let's set up our business the right way on a right structure so that I can do that. And then maybe we go after a part-time employee first. Like let's get somebody to start 20 hours a week. Maybe we got to work on weekends with them because they got another job. We can get really resourceful, get creative to try to find somebody. I also think a tremendous advantage for a lot of home service techs is to learn Spanish. Learning Spanish opens up a entire new customer base and employee base of hard, loyal working people that can be hardworking, loyal people who can be amazing assets. But if you don't know Spanish, that's an area where it's tough. So if you're in the home service business, learning Spanish is also a really, really benefit in the early days.
yeah, I kind of love how you sum that up. I'm sure a lot of people watching right now can take notes and kind of re-listen to this, and I think that's a great summary of kind of a lot of the tips that you gave today. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. You gave such amazing advice, and I'm sure I can't wait to read the comments. I'm sure everyone is just so excited to
This
yeah.
event is great. I can't wait for the Q&A, and I'm excited to watch a lot of the other speakers too. So thanks for everything, Katie.
Yes, thank you so much.